Hi guys, my name's Mary. Welcome back to our channel. And you didn't get to see a lot of him last time, but this is my wonderful husband.
Hi. So awkward. My name is Dio. Welcome to my channel.
Yeah, it's his channel. He tells me what to do, and I go with it. In this video, we're using the opportunity to talk to you about purchasing land. So we'll be talking to you about specifically about the purchase of the land of this home, and of a few, maybe one or two other lots. We'll go into that as well. We will also use this opportunity to answer some of the questions that we have received so far from our empty house tour. We do want to use this opportunity to say thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the comments, the likes. We're really appreciative of it. And our goal really is to be here and to be a resource and just share some of the things that we've learned along the years. So with that being said, are you ready? Well, let's go back to the beginning. So this journey actually starts with our move to Houston in 2017, and Babe's gonna tell you all about it.
At that time, my wife did show me this community or this neighborhood we are right now, and we loved it, but for some reason I couldn't allow myself to love it. Just being honest, I think it was limiting beliefs. I just didn't allow myself.
I think you closed your mind to it. Like, you were automatically like, it's too expensive, like I don't want to buy land.
Yeah, I don't know if I closed my mind or my mind closed itself. But ended up building across the street from here. So we did that in 2018, and you know, that's just my perspective, and that was your own view because you showed me lots. What were you seeing at that time?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the community even before we came to Houston. I'd spoken to some sellers, and I'd even spoken to the developer at some point for the lots. And I'd also spoken to some builders. So I kind of had a little bit more perspective in regards to that, in regards to like the cost of the land, what it would cost to build, and what kind of like the build process would look like at that time. And you know, in hindsight, I'm really happy that we didn't do this in 2017. I think just our knowledge and where we were in regards to real estate was just, we were just that much better off waiting to do this when we eventually did it. So I will say that. But so speaking of purchasing land, that's kind of like what that led us into, is that, so we purchased this other semi-custom home. We did build it from the ground up. We built it with a mainstream builder. And what we did after building that house, we realized that, oh man, like we were still coming into this community. Like every weekend we would drive in here and we would look at lots, and we got to a point where we were like, you know what, this is where we want to be. And so
oh yeah, that happened there.
And we love that house.
Like, I mean, we love the house. Yeah, I mean, it was nice.
Yeah.
We were always drawn to this place.
And so we decided, you know, we're just going to take the leap. We're going to do it. So just kind of giving you a span. Like 2017, we also kind of started our real estate business. That's, as some of you guys know, we do buy land, we do flips, we do remodels, we do some new builds, but that's by the way. So in regards to purchasing the land for this specific home, we really started looking into that again. I would say sometime in 2019, we were like, okay, this is where we really want to be, so let's start looking. So we started looking, and we were just looking for the perfect lot. Did we want to be just in a wooded lot, or did you wanted a waterfront lot?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had something for water, so like if I'm doing this, I might as well.
Yeah. And I was very particular about wanting a wooded lot, just with the kids. I didn't want to have to deal with the hassle of the water or worrying about them being there. And so when we first started looking for lots, we were looking for primarily wooded lots. He was probably secretly looking for waterfront lots. And so we would come and we would, take a look at lots. We spoke to different realtors. At this point, we also started to talk to builders in 2019 again. Keep in mind, we initially spoke to builders in 2017 when we initially came here, just to kind of have an idea of the process. So a long story short, fast forward into 2020, and about the beginning of 2020, we got very serious, and we began to see that the cost of lots were consistently going up, and we knew that once we found the lot that we wanted to act on it. And so once again,
did we not wanted to act?
I think we did, because at that point we had already started to draw up floor plans.
I was drawing up floor plans in faith.
Okay.
we were even buying the land. On my perspective, we were just, let's buy it out in faith. Let's just try.
Well, I think at some point, it was well, let's just get the lot and see, because like I said, we really loved that house we were in, and so it was okay, do we really want to build another house? But can we just, oftentimes we always said, let's just dig up our house and come put it on a lot in here. So that was kind of our process. So in the grand scheme of things, in 2020 we started getting more serious about lots, and we were seeing different things, and we would say, okay, yeah, that's the one, let's give the realtor a call, and the next thing we know, the lot would be gone. And ultimately it came down to 2 waterfront lots and 1 wooded lot. Out of the 2 waterfront lot, this one sat in the middle of the lake, and the other one sat at the edge of the lake. And negotiation-wise, they came down to about the same price. And we just kind of looked at, well, since we're going to go waterfront, because like we said, with investing in real estate, we're always looking at the end of the tunnel, that return for your money. And in regards to return, you're gonna get a better return.
But let me add to this. At this point, that was at the beginning of COVID. The prices were way more expensive than they were in 2017 when we came to look at it.
Yeah.
So honestly, looking at it, in my mind, these things were really high. But this thing never left our hearts. This thing never left. We were just drawn to that place. And we can't really say this story without bringing a God factor in there.
Yeah.
It felt like we were called to this land. There was so much uncertainty.
Yeah, there were so many layoffs. Yeah, people were putting their houses on the market, even in the community we lived in previously. Right. So it was just a very uncertain time. But
hey, let's take this leap of faith. We are in the deep right now. So.
And I think ultimately having the perfect lot, because we had seen several lots, and none of them just really made us feel like, oh, we want our home to be here. They were all great lots, but it just wasn't the right lot for us. Now you kind of have our backstory, but anyway, getting back on track. In regards to purchasing land, some of the things you really want to look at is the land itself, right? Like location, what is it that's going on in this area? What's drawing you there? What's already there? What's potentially coming there? You want to look at price trends. You want to see what's going on in regards to the land values. What have they been? How are they being appraised? You want to look at the homes that are already there. What are they selling for? What are they building for? What are they selling for? Making sure that ultimately, if I'm going to build on this land, it's going to be profitable. Or even if I just want to buy this land and hold it, it's going to make sense for me to hold it, because down the line, it's going to be profitable. So with that being said, some of the things that you do want to look at is, are there utilities on the land, right? With acreage communities, you do need to be careful, because some of them don't have utilities. Some of them don't have electricity already ran in the community. They don't have sewer. They don't have, internet lines, things of that nature. Some of them don't even have access roads. And so where that comes to play is when you go to the bank for financing, is that they're going to be more willing to finance certain properties than others. So if there's not an access road there already, already, that might be a difficult one. If you're missing some utilities, those are some things that might be considered. So for our personal lot in this community, all of the utilities were there. We are not in, so we don't have a mud tax here. So what that means is that we don't have a community sewer system. We each have a septic tank that is designed and developed for your home that is on your property. And so that was something that we knew, for example, on our lot going in, was that we were going to have to put in a septic tank. So other things that I would say that you want to consider is, what size of lot are you looking for? So am I looking for a half an acre? Am I looking for an acre? Am I looking for just a couple thousand square feet in regards to lot? Just to give you some perspective, an acre lot is about what, 43,000 something square feet. So looking at what is the square footage, or how much land are you looking for, how much acreage are you looking for? And when you're seeing things that are on the market, first of all, get your comps, see where that piece of property is priced compared to what things are selling for. You also want to know, like, what is your cost per square foot, right? That's what it comes down to. Because if it's slightly smaller than an acre, slightly larger than an acre, you know, you might be able to manipulate things there and negotiate things one way or the other to where it makes more sense for you.
So to add to that, another thing to look out for, the terrain of the land. Is it marshy? Is it in a flood zone?
Yeah. And what kind of flood zone is it in, even if it is in a flood zone, right? Is it in the 500-year plain, 100-year plain? Those are things that could affect things in regards to cost later on. Is this a piece of property that you may need flood insurance on? So ideally, you don't want to be in a flood zone. If you are in a flood zone, then you know when it's time to build on that property, you need to bring in enough dirt to raise your property out of the flood zone. So what does that mean? If I have two properties where one's slightly more expensive and it's not in the flood zone, and one's a little cheaper but is in the flood zone, then I might want to go for the one that's not in the flood zone, because I need to think about, I'm going to have to bring in dirt, which is an additional cost. So that land may be cheaper right now, but then later to develop it, it could be more expensive. And so those are things to consider.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some things we're not going to be able to see that you eventually have to do a soil test to know what kind of foundation you need. But there's some easy things, like, I mean, if it's a cleared land, that's one less step. If the land is not cleared, you would have to clear it. I mean, those are just little things that add to the cost and could make it decide between one land and another land.
And just an FYI, you cannot soil test a land that you do not own. But whenever you are talking to the realtor or whoever has that property listed, sometimes the owner does already have a soil test done, which saves you some money. It's like somewhere between $500 or $1,000. I can't remember how much we paid for ours, but you cannot soil test a piece of property that you're just considering. You wouldn't want to anyway, because it's expensive. And then you mentioned something else just now after the soils testing. The land clearing. So so land clearing is another portion where if you're ready to build, a lot of times in the communities, even though the land is yours, if there's an HOA, they will not want you to clear the land until you have approved building plans and you're ready to build. But whether or not you want to have a ton of trees, if you're someone who doesn't want to have a ton of trees on the property and you see a lot that's already cleared for sale and it's a better price, I say go for it, because that is going to save you some money, like Babe said, later down the line, to have that lot cleared.
School districts?
Yes, the school district as well. The school district, so part of the reason we built that last house where we did was because of the school district that it was in, and the school district in this community, they shared the exact same schools, so that was a plus for us. And so, you know, we talked about finding the right property. We talked about some nuances when you're looking at property. Now, let's talk about financing your lot. When you go to finance a lot, some things you want to keep in mind is, one, you need to find a bank or an entity that is willing to finance the land. What options do you have when you want to buy that lot? You can come in with all cash for sure and just be done with that. Sometimes the owners will also finance the land.
Yes.
Okay.
Owner financing.
Yeah, so owner financing. So if the owner is not in a rush to like get all the cash at once, a lot of times they are interested in financing it for you. And then the third option is going to the bank for financing. So of the banks that we've used in the past, let me see, we've used First United, Allegiance Bank is a good option, and
Prosperity Bank. Does Prosperity Bank?
I don't remember Prosperity, but RBFCU also, those will typically do lot loans. If you have a question regarding whether or not a bank will do the loan, just call them and ask. You don't even have to go in person. Just call them and say, hey, do you guys do land loans or lot loans, and see what they say. We've used First United most commonly just because it's been convenient. We have a contact there, and no, they're not sponsoring this video.
No, they're not sponsored. This would be a good time to introduce the sponsors of the video. Yeah, I believe in you, babe. You believe in me?
I believe in you.
Yeah.
So we're currently the sponsors of our video, and you can support us by liking the video, subscribing, commenting. We appreciate all of your calls and text messages as well, but please comment and like the videos.
Right.
And let us know if there's any additional content that maybe we're missing, or questions. If we missed your questions, please, we do not intend to, absolutely let us know. But continuing on financing the lot loan, those are the three entities we worked with in the past that we would recommend: Allegiance Bank, First United, or RBFCU. A lot of times the credit unions will finance land. You just need to ask. Then that becomes important later on when you're ready to build too. But some other things that you want to pay attention to is the interest rate when you finance land. Interest rate is typically, right now, I think it's about 4 to 5%. So something to keep in mind is that interest rate for land is always higher than interest rate for like a single family home. And that's because they're taking more of a risk. The bank feels like they're taking more of a risk by giving you this money.
And sometimes they require more down,
yes.
I know some people require
they do require more down payment. On average, it's anywhere from 15 to 25%. Some entities do go as much as 50%, but First United, I know for sure it's 20%. The last time that we worked with them on something was 20% for that. So on average, expect to put down 15 to 25% of whatever land it is that you're considering. And things like your credit score, of course, play a significant impact in regards to where you land on that interest rate spectrum. So if you have a spouse and they have better interest rate, then you basically maybe either just the spouse apply, or if you're going to be better together, both of you apply. Just giving yourselves the best opportunity to be able to obtain that property, especially in this really hot real estate market, I would say. Yeah. So excuse me for my big notebook here. I keep looking down on my lap because there were just so many questions and so many thoughts that I have to just jot down some things to make sure that we didn't miss anything.
So buying the lots and building. I know we're not talking about building right now.
Yeah.
But you can either buy just the lot or finance just the lot, or
so there is another option. So that first portion we talked about was purchasing just the lot, and that's if you don't see yourself building within the next 1 year, then we would recommend just purchase the lot. The other option is when you see a lot that you want, and you also know that, yes, I want to build on this lot and I want to get started building as soon as possible, or within the year. So then there are two options for that. There is a one-time close, construction loan close, and there's a two-time close. So basically what that means is that the bank is going to finance both the land and the cost to build your house at the same time as one loan together. And so that's what we did for this particular property, was that we knew at some point that, okay, by the time we've actually put an offer in on the land, we knew that we were going to just go ahead and build. And so we went with that option of the one-time close for the loan. And so what that means is we went to the bank and said, hey, we found this land that we want, and we want to build a house at the same time. So the bank says, okay, great. Who's your builder? What's your floor plan? Do you have any soils testing or anything done on the land? And we'll get started. And so then the bank comes out, they take a look at the land, they do an appraisal and see what they think it's worth. You have to have set floor plans already going into this process in order to be able to do that one-time close. Because the bank wants to know that you're not going to build a shack, right? Mm-hmm. They want to know that whatever house or whatever it is you're planning to build meets the requirement of the HOA, meets the requirement of the community, and that, for example, if you're borrowing $1 million to build this house, then this house needs to be able to appraise for $1 million or more. Sorry guys, we've done so many takes. So what they actually do at that point is they're going to take your floor plan and they're going to give it to their specialist, their appraiser. The appraiser is going to appraise your home, appraise your land, and they're going to give you a figure that they think your land and home build is worth. And the goal is for that amount to be more than whatever cost your land plus your builder has given you that it's going to cost to build the house. So basically you want to go into this project already having equity in it even before it starts to be built.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal. So that is an option. The second option is a two-time close. So let's say you already live in a house right now, and based on your financial constraints, you wouldn't be able to qualify for the one-time close. Maybe the debt to income ratio, things of that nature. So the other option is you apply for a two-time close. With a two-time close, you close at the beginning. You get your construction loan. At the time that the house is done being built, you close again. And then that's when officially the house is yours. Now, when you might use something like that is, let's say you already live in a house and you need to sell that house in order to be able to afford your new home. So a two-time close might be a better option for you in that case, because that way, at least before that house is done, or you can sell your home to coincide with when you need to move into that next home.
All right. So and just to be clear, there's the first thing we talked about was the financing for the lots.
Yes.
That was just finance for lot. And now this time around we're talking about construction loan.
Yes.
So that's when you involve the building of the house.
Yeah.
So it's possible in that case the bank puts the cost of the land and the cost of the build together and gives a construction loan on that.
Yeah.
They pay off the lots and then go from there.
Yeah. So even if you are wanting to buy land, some of the things I would consider with my institution that I'm looking at to finance is, do they do construction loans? Because I find that it's usually smoother to just go with the same entity. So if I'm buying land and that entity doesn't do construction loans, and I know that that's not land that I want to just hold and sell, that's a land that I want to build on either for myself or for investment purposes, then that may affect the lender that I go with in order to finance that property.
Yeah.
Oh, and then with the construction loan, whether it's a one-time close or a two-time close, the interest rate on it is typically better than when you're just buying the land right out. Interest rate for land alone is usually higher than a construction loan or a mortgage. And then another thing to look at is I think that's what made us ultimately, part of what made us ultimately just decide, let's just go ahead and build, is that when you buy land, your down payment with the bank we were using was 20% of the cost of the land. However, when we did a construction loan, which was the land plus the build of the house together, the down payment was 10%. So Also know what the down payment is for that entity if you want to do a construction loan. Some banks do 10%, some banks do 15, some banks do 20, 25. I think 25% is the highest I've heard of for a down payment for a construction loan. Doesn't mean that's the highest there is out there, but just do your homework and know, okay, what down payment do I need to have? And some tips and tricks you can use if you decided to buy land and are not sure whether or not you want to build, and a year from now you decide I do want to build. There are some banks that will allow you to use the equity that your land has attained within that 1 year period or 2 year period, however long you own the land for. Not all banks will let you do that, but that can basically replace your down payment or reduce how much of a down payment you need to bring to the table for that construction loan if you already own the land and that land already has some equity and it's been at least a year that you've owned it. What are some benefits of, so we've been talking about land and buying land. What are some benefits of living on land or living on acreage? For us personally, I think the single most important piece living on the north side of Houston is lower property taxes. As we mentioned earlier, we don't have a mud tax. So where we live, there is the county tax, which is your regular property taxes, and then there's the mud tax, which is called, it's short for municipal utility district. So for us in this area, the mud tax is usually high. And so the benefit of us living in this community over the previous community we were in is that we don't have a mud tax here. So whereas in the previous community, our taxes, mud and county together, was like 3.7, here we're like very low twos before homestead. So of course, whenever your interest rate is lower, then you potentially could afford more house than you could elsewhere. And just like when your taxes are lower, you potentially could afford more house than you could elsewhere. But I think this will be a good time to segue into some of the questions we've received so far.
The difference between production build, semi-custom, and custom.
Okay, so we got a lot of questions in regards to this. So a production build is basically, you go to a community and they've got 2, 3, it could even be 1, right? Anywhere from 1 to 4 different builders for you to choose from. Each of those builders has their own library of floor plans that you can make some changes to. And then they have their menu of selections in regards to fixtures and finishings and that you can make selections from. So that would be a production builder. And then a custom builder is essentially a builder where there's nothing predetermined, right? There's no predetermined floor plan, there's nothing. You could actually come bring your own floor plan that you've already had developed with an architect, or you can work with that builder and their design team to build out a floor plan. So think about a custom home as one of a kind. Like you wouldn't walk down the street and see another floor plan like yours, or another house with the exact same finishings or things of that nature like yours. So when you think custom home, think one of a kind. Some of the benefits of a custom home is that everything is a line item, right? When you submit to the bank, you have a budget for everything from light fixtures to even your foundation, things of that nature. So you can shop around in terms of things like fixtures that you might want and get what you want, as long as you stay within the budget that has already been allotted and approved by the bank. And if you end up going over that budget, then of course you have to pay that out-of-pocket cost in addition to whatever you've already financed with the bank. So that would be the difference there. And then semi-custom is a mix between the two. So a lot of times, even in this community, sometimes you'll see semi-custom homes where a builder has purchased a lot and they've started to build one of their floor plans, and then they kind of halt it at a phase that still allows a client to come in and be able to make changes, be it, you know, pick whatever finishings that they want, or even being able to alter, you know, change what certain rooms were designated to be initially. So semi-custom is basically a mixture of the two. It's got a little bit of the production piece to it, because a lot of times it's whatever it's floor plan that builder has available or has chosen to build at that time. But then it also has that custom aspect in that you're able to pick some of those finishings and have more choices there.
To add to that, I would say the production builders, like the floor plans, are pretty much fixed. You could make selections, like design selection changes, depending on what packages they have. And while the semi-custom, they pretty much have, the builders have their floor plans, and they might allow a few structural changes, like you might be able to remove one or two walls, they might be able to, they have a little bit of wiggle room to change some structural changes in the semi-custom, but it's based off of their own plans in which they already have, while the full custom is we start from your plan. Where do you want this room? You draw up the plan, like everything you select, your grout color, like everything is.
So you select your grout color regardless of what builder you use.
I don't know what
I don't know why grout color just keeps sticking in your mind, but you always select your grout color.
I feel that was one of the hardest decisions.
The difference would be like, the grout color is not a good idea. Maybe like tile or wood floor. Like I literally had to go to the store and shop for every single floor or every single fixture. Like I had to shop for every single fixture in our home. So, and it's not going to necessarily going to a showroom, which some builders have, but a lot of times when you're falling into the custom realm, you're actually going out and about to source the things you want. If you wanted to import floors from France, you could.
Okay, so is it better to renovate a house or to build new construction, in your opinion?
Run the numbers. So my answer to that question, and I'll let Babe answer too, but my answer to that question would be run the numbers, because you know we've done both on the investment side, like, and it really just depends on what that existing structure is. If you're going to have to repair, you know, do some foundation work, repair some things structurally, some pipes that were ran, or the things that are ran behind the walls, some things are not functioning properly and you're needing to open up the walls and address those things, you're needing to put in a new roof, or you're needing to put additional square footage in where there wasn't square footage before. Those things get pricey very quickly, and I know that sometimes the belief is if the structure is already there, it's cheaper. That's not always the case. I think for us personally, we tend to, whether our personal home or investment, try to stay towards the new builds or the newer builds, even if we have to do some work. But
we're just drawn to that, and
I'm starting to believe you're married to me. I'm like, you're taking my answer, you're lady, probably.
Wow. Okay. So it depends. Yeah, it really just depends.
Okay, so I want to build a custom home and I want to control the process.
Have control. If you want to have control, I would say look for owner builder programs. There are lots of programs out there that offer that. Built Green is one that comes to mind immediately. If you're in the Texas area, they help you get, you know, from the design phase, the selection phase, they have the trades, they get you all the bids, you know, just making sure that you have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. They're going to be there. If there are some aspects of them that you want them to be more involved and take control, they will. Otherwise, you're basically steering the project how you want it ran.
Yeah, just to add to one of the other, so there are banks that will give a loan to you based on if you can show them you have some experience. And there are ways to go about that. You can also, you can hire a general contractor on paper, like to sign off on projects and kind of act as the consultant. And then you manage the project yourself if you don't have that much experience.
So there are ways to go about that, and there are banks that will also allow that. So
Yeah.
it's something to have.
So, but where I think a company like Built Green, yet again, they're not sponsoring this video, comes to play is that they have that reputation with the bank, and they also provide you the workmanship, right? You're not going and just looking for someone to say, hey, can you do drywall, right? They're gonna give you bids for different companies that are able to do drywall, and then you can choose what you feel best fits your budget, right? And they help you develop a budget, they submit everything, help you get approved with your bank, they're working with you to manage the financial aspect of it, and also managing the trades. And if at any point, so you're basically the construction manager, the guy that comes on site to make sure that things are being done properly. And if there's a point of the construction that you don't feel confident doing that yourself, they would also take that on. I believe there's an additional fee for that.
Right. So what do you think of FHA loans versus conventional?
FHA versus conventional loans, I think it really just depends on your situation. Conventional loans, you typically have to have a little bit better credit than with FHA. FHA, they will let you borrow money with credit as low as, I want to say like 580 or something like that.
Credit score of 580.
Yeah, so it really just depends on your credit situation and what your goals are. I know that with FHA loans, there's a cap in the amount of money you can borrow. And then the benefit of it is actually that you can your down payment can be as low as 3.5%. Whereas with conventional, your down payment, the lowest it can be is 5%. What we typically do on our personal homes, we do go the conventional route. If you're a veteran, by all means, please use the VA because the benefits are awesome. But we typically go the conventional route simply because I don't know if you guys are aware of something called PMI, your property mortgage insurance. On an FHA loan, typically your PMI is either the life of the loan or after 11 years, just depending on when you took out the loan and your situation and what your down payment was. Whereas with a conventional loan, where the minimum down payment is 5%, if down the line, let's say 2 years from now, your house has appreciated in value, as long as you have up to 20% equity in your home with that conventional loan, your PMI can go away. You can ask for a reassessment for your PMI to go away. And all your PMI is basically an insurance that your bank takes out on your loan just in case you default on that loan.
Right. I actually have a friend that did a good detailed breakdown of FHA versus conventional loan. I went into it more detail, and I'll tag the video in the description.
Awesome, because I am no professional at that. I'll design you a pretty home now. Okay. Do I need 20% down to purchase a home? So no, you do not need 20% down. So where that 20% misconception comes from is that if you put 20% down, then you won't have to pay PMI. When they calculate your mortgage, they won't calculate PMI into it, which is what we talked about earlier. Depending on your lender and which company they're using for their mortgage insurance, and also, you know, how expensive your home is, your mortgage insurance can range, in our experience, anywhere from like $69 to $200. So you may not want to, even if you have 20% of your house to put down, you may not want to put that money down because you want to have the cash on hand, and that's fine. You do have options. And then with the FHA, even though it's called the first time home buyer loan, it doesn't need to be your first house for you to use it.
So we are looking to buy a home next year. Is it the right time to buy?
Absolutely. So all jokes aside, we do think this is a perfect time to buy. And a big reason for that is the interest rate currently. No one knows when the interest rate is going to go back up. So we do recommend, if that's something you're interested in now, we always recommend buy first of all, but if that's something you're interested in now, we do our opinion would be to go ahead and do so. And I actually worked up a little example here. So if you bought a $450,000 house, this is just for example purposes, you put 5% down and you had 4% interest rate, your payment on that, and I'm just talking about based on the mortgage, this doesn't include your property tax or HOA, things of that nature, but it'd be $2,219, so $2,219.08. Right now, on average, interest rates are at like 2.8 for a 30-year loan. So if you bought that same $450,000 house, put 5% down, with the current interest rate of 2.8, you'd be looking at a payment of $1,934.70. So when you look at the difference between the two on a monthly basis, that's $284.38. That's the difference on a month-to-month basis. And that may not seem like a lot, but if you take that $284.38 and you multiply it by a year, and then you multiply that by 30 years, you're looking at $102,376 and what is that, 80 cents. So it does make a significant difference. The fact that interest rates are what they are right now, like Dia was saying earlier, it does give you the flexibility to be able to afford more house because you're paying less in interest. But of course stay within your budget, but this definitely is a good time.
Good job, maybe you did your research. But just
I use the something I do recommend using is mortgagecalculator.org. So if you just want to play around with numbers, that's a good place to just go plug in some numbers and play around and see what things would be for you.
So just to add to that, as I say, the best time to buy was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. And I'm aware people are speculating on there's a market crash and things like that. From our opinion, you buy now and wait, not wait and buy later. What is our lot size?
Oh, someone asked us a lot of questions about our current personal home. Our lot size is exactly 1 acre, so that's 43,560 square feet in regards to the lot.
Are there any lots for sale?
The developer sold all the land already, so all the land in here is owned by individuals like us. So sometimes they do put their land up on the market for sale, and so you will see some land for sale. There really isn't much on the market right now, but if you're interested, Houston Area Realty, HAR.com is a good place to look.
The lake premium, the lots, the water lots premium.
Okay, so for the water lots, we've seen it go, so the way that the market has been lately has just been crazy over the last 1 year. About a year ago, water lots were going for around like 200, 250. Now we're finding that regular wooded lots are going for 200, 250, and water lots are going for 300, 350.
So, but to answer the question, is it water lot versus non-water lots generally, or in our particular community? So I think that's something that I'm not quite sure.
I think this person was asking specifically to our house.
Okay, so the difference between...
Yeah, so it's anywhere from like 50 to maybe up to 100,000.
The difference.
Difference in a wooded lot versus a water lot.
How many square feet how many living square feet?
So I know they count like, some people, whenever they list the houses on the market, they count like their, what is it? All the roof covered patio space and the garage and all that. I don't know what that number is because I actually haven't looked at it, but just for inside the house, we're at 5,500. Yeah.
Do you plan on putting a pool in the future?
I'll let you answer that one. pull at the beginning, but you know, priorities, guys, priorities.
How long did it take to build the theater room?
I think you probably should take that too. By theater room, I'm thinking you mean the step that we put in there, the riser. Yeah.
So I would have a video. Do I have enough footage? I'll probably put a clip up regarding that. But it probably took.
I think it took 3 days in total. It took all weekend plus 1 weekday.
Yeah, and that's between kids and we could only come here at night. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that also included buying the material, like actually shopping and buying the material. Yeah. I think maybe if you didn't have the distraction of kids or you bought your material beforehand, it's easily something you could knock out in a day of like full concentration on it.
Yeah. Do I have before and after pictures of the living room fireplace?
We should. All that's behind it was when the house was in the stud phase, so you know, the 2x4s, 2x6s built out the fireplace and then drywall over that, and then before we did the finish. So we should be able to find something.
Then someone asked the white oak, the tile.
Oh, the white oak look tile, where is that from? So now, I'm just gonna put this disclaimer out there. There might be cheaper flooring places. I don't know, but I love Floor and Decor. You could leave me at Floor and Decor all day. So the floors are from Floor and Decor. And I'll be sure to link them. He'll link them. He does all that.
Right.
The dining room chandelier, that was from Wayfair. I will link that. I want to say the dining room one specifically was $541 or something like that. But that might be an affiliate link. I would have to check.
Right.
So basically, what that means is if you do end up buying the white, we do get a small commission from Wayfair for that.
No.
But they do not sponsor this video.
Yeah. Who is this one?
Guys, we hope you have enjoyed watching this video, and we hope you know a little bit more about land loans, construction loans. If you think of anything else that maybe we didn't address, or you have some other questions that came up with this, please feel free to let us know. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe. Oh my gosh. Rather this time. No, deal. What is? They will know we are married. Let us see what they will know we are married. They will know. Let us see what we're talking about. Oh my God. So, cut. That was not my secret. We are running where your place. You're gonna get flow.